So thank you so much.
Thank you.
So since the MJQ IPO listing last year, how has the stock companies performed relative to your initial expectations? And what factors do you believe have been most influenced investors' reception and the market performance so far?
Okay. Well, since we went on IPO, it has been great. At the beginning, we have raised 5 million, and then eventually there's continue on trading, and we are one of the most traded company in the CSX, and we are also very well known, and we have the most shareholder trading that's going on in the stock market. So basically, by having MJQE on IPO on exchange, it's attract a lot of people, and basically our companies has improved a lot, attract a lot of attention, and somehow we managed to perform very well, more than expected. Yes.
If I just ask a follow-up question on that about the stock market in general, the index is trading very low. I think that's influenced mostly by its big market, AC leader or leader, how you say it.
Yeah.
Are you fearful that the poor performance of other stocks like a leader wouldn't be negatively impacting your stock, considering they might be going after a very similar market?
Well, Cambodian stock market sentiment are still very low actually. Even the performance are quite high, more than expected, but the understanding of the stock market are still very low, and because of the misunderstanding and also the lack of financial and IPO literacy, Cambodia is still very far behind other countries in investment. So despite the fact that each company perform more than expected, but the stock market is still undervalued. And this is one of the reasons when you go on IPO on a small country with stock market that are underperform, this is the trends that are happening. But for us, despite the facts that how the perception is in Cambodia, we still last year pull up with a 6 to 7% increase. So that's more than expected with regard to what is going on in the stock market in Cambodia.
And one more follow-up with the stock market, I guess, in talking more broadly. It's some of the biggest issues, right? It's in Khmer Real, which I think we spoke to the regulator many times. It could have been better if it was in US. But that's okay, I get it. Combined, it needs to promote its own currency. The other issue is that the incredibly high interest rates available with cash. So some of the very well-known banks are offering almost 9% for a Khmer Real term deposit.
Yes.
How can we try and, I guess, influence investors to go to something which is maybe not as high and more volatile potentially in stocks?
Well, we understand that the interest is quite high and it's more reals than dollarized economy. But overall in Cambodia, it's still dollarized economy. And as we understand, the CSX are more welcoming of the dollar than the reals in terms of investment. So that is a good sign that they accept dollar more than real right now. And however, by having a deposit in the bank with a higher interest rate, a lot of people opted for deposit into the bank than investment. And just to let you know that in Cambodia it's a little bit crazy. People are still misunderstanding between those Ponzi scheme and the stock market. So last month in April 30th when we have our AGM, and then we have a dividend of guaranteed 6%. But then we decide to offer 7% as a merit of our good performance. And then a lot of people were saying in the Facebook, there go another Ponzi scheme. First 6%, now 7%, and what's next? It's going to be another rip-off and so on. So the understanding of the stock market in Cambodia is way somewhere out of the jungle. So we're hoping that financial and stock market literacy will improve year on year, and that's depend on us and the CSX and SAOC continue to teach people about the stock market. CSX is not the same as the Ponzi scheme. that is happening in Cambodia that screw up the perception of what is the real market and what is not. And it's sad to at this period in time where people in Cambodia still do not distinguish between the two. So the reason why a lot of lack of understanding, a lack of investment in the CSX is due to that.
Okay. Yeah, as you just mentioned about the Ponzi schemes in Cambodia, a lot of them unfortunately have also been regulated.
Yes.
So unfortunately, when we tell people to go to the regulated investment options, those have turned out to be Ponzi schemes too.
That's
What's
right.
your opinion on that?
Well, I believe that if the government would not strengthen it, the understanding and the distinguish between what is real and what is Ponzi scheme will continue to happen. And that is a sad story for Cambodia as a whole. But I think it will only improve if the government tightens the rules and regulation of the company, because right now the sentiment in Cambodia is that all company are all Ponzi scheme regardless of what. So we seem to not understand why it is not tightly regulated and well defined by the government. So Ponzi schemes still venture around and confuse people. So it is a sad story, but I think it will improve in the near future when government come up with a tighter regulation.
Okay, thank you very much for those questions. So reflecting on the past year of your own company, how do you assess the performance in achieving those stated financials that you had in the initial, I guess, investor deck? There were quite ambitious targets with some very big increases in revenue and also net profit. Have you been able to achieve these KPIs? Have they met your expectations for investors?
More than we expected since going on IPO, and we have a revenue increase by 44% and a gross profit of 45%, and amazingly net profit of 102%. This is quite high, and quarter by quarter, when we report our earning and gross revenue and total revenue increase, if you were to look at market in developed country, the price would shoot up drastically. But in Cambodia, our company is hardly any move. So it's just to say that the understanding of the stock market are still nowhere there yet. So despite the fact that the company performs so well, and the value is right now is below the actual value that the company stand at right now. When we go on IPO, the value is capped at 165 M. And right now, we look at the company is more than 200 M based on the calculation EBITDA time by PE. And it comes to over 225 M right now. But you look at the market right now that stay at CSX, it's still 160 something. So sometimes it is, I don't know if it's good or bad, but the sentiment is that the understanding that it's good because it gives reputation, it gives people exposures to parents, to students, and it gives a reputation actually to our company as a whole. But in terms of understand the value, understand the exchange and buying share and all those things, we still lag behind, way behind. So as a result, no matter how well you perform, the value is still under the real market.
Okay. And in terms of your, I mean, the target market, I guess, your company at the moment is mostly mom and dads of the students that go to the school, is that correct?
Yes, most mom and dad, and also some supporters that understand about education and the quality education and how education play a role in Cambodia. Those who value education, they tend to invest. But Cambodia is not a country that understands about education or support education. It's been lagging behind for some time, despite the government's efforts to try to drum up the education. But right now, we have to work with the private sector, and private sector have to work with the government in order to drum up education so that it reaches par with the regional level. It is coming up closer and closer, but we have a lot of things to work on, and that's because that's because of government support and government incentive with the tax exemption and so on, and the government support with private sector. But despite that, education is still have way to go. It's a long way to go.